to the team. Good night.
Punchline was powered by Telkom.
Extra data is always better with extra minutes. Dial *544# to subscribe and share live extra. Telkom, moving with you.
And thank you, Rose, and good evening to you all. Welcome to this week's Punchline edition, proudly powered by Telkom. Tonight on the program, though political pundits have previously opined that he has lost his loyal background support to ODM's Raila Odinga, in just a matter of weeks, ANC Party leader Musalia Mudavadi will be taking the fight to Kibra, Raila Odinga's backyard, in a by-election that seems to be drawing unlikely entrants into that race. Over the next hour, we will be discussing politics, corruption, constitution review, electoral reform, and much more. It is #Mudavadi on Punchline, and welcome.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you.
Your party, as I've just mentioned, ANC, is fielding a candidate in the Kibra by-election, which is deemed to be the political bedrock of the former Prime Minister. What makes you confident that you can win in Kibra?
Well, first of all, let me just take exactly half a minute to once again convey my deepest sympathies to the people of Kibra and to the family of Ken Okoth following his demise. I think going forward, I can only say that the people of Kibra deserve good leadership. And ANC is providing that opportunity because that is a constituency for the Kibera people, and constitutionally, any party that meets the bill can field a candidate. So we as ANC are fielding Eliud Owalo.
But beyond what is your constitutional right to do so, what makes you confident that you can upstage ODM in what is clearly ODM turf?
The people who will decide as to who will be representing them is the voter in Kibera. And naturally, people come in through political parties. So at this point in time, all I want to tell you is that the people of Kibera must be given a fair chance, and they should not be put into straitjackets. They should make sure, and we want to make sure, that the people of Kibera will make a decision based on a value judgment of the candidates that will be fronted by various political parties.
That's despite the history of voting ODM
despite the history.
Okay.
I mean, we have seen other constituencies where presumptions have been made, and there has been a surprise.
Okay. In 2017, you were, of course, allies with Raila in NASA, together with Kalonzo Musyoka, Moses Wetangula, and co. Would you say NASA is dead today?
Apparently, no. The coalition agreement that we entered into as NASA is valid, and for it to be extinguished, at least 3 political parties who subscribe to NASA would have to formally exit and notify the other party members.
But when was the last NASA meeting,
to the best of my knowledge, no party has done that. Yes.
Last meeting between NASA principals?
To be honest, we've taken a bit of time to discuss NASA matters. But in terms of any of the political parties coming forward to say that they have exited from NASA, none has done so.
And when would you say the last time you came together as a coalition? Would that be after the handshake?
Yes, we've had some meetings after the handshake, informal meetings after the handshake, where we have discussed various issues, particularly circumstances that build up to the handshake and so forth. So we've had those kind of opportunities. We've also had some informal meetings to discuss some other aspects of possible reorganization within NASA, just dealing with management issues, but nothing.
In what sense? Describe reorganization.
For instance, we've been talking about, as NASA, we were supposed to have an agreement of revenue sharing of the political parties' funds. To this day, that has not been actualized.
All right, and what is your position on that?
Well, it is still on the table. We hope that at some time we shall dialogue and resolve it.
Okay. Taking on Raila in his own backyard is seen by many as quite a political statement. Should the country, or are you telling the country tonight, that come 2022 you will be on the other side of a handshake lineup?
Look, I think let us remember that this is a by-election. And let us remember that Musalia Mudavadi is not on the ballot in Kibra.
Is it a strength test?
Neither is Raila Odinga on the ballot in Kibra. This is about the people of Kibra making a decision. So far, ANC has made it clear as to who their candidate is. We are still waiting to know who the candidate from the Jubilee side will be and who the candidate from the ODM side will be, and any other political party. So when that is formalized, then we will see the faces.
It sounds like you're trying to downplay the importance of Kibra, which many are viewing as a sort of strength test as we go towards the end of the year.
No. I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm trying to get the people of Kenya to understand that they should move away from trying to make by-elections proxy battles of their party leaders.
It's not that?
This is about the leadership of Kibra. And that is my view, because it is a three-year period to go. The people of Kibra need representation, and they need good representation that will work for their needs. We don't want a leader in Kibra who is going to be working for a political party leader. We want a leader that will be working for the people of Kibra.
All right. In a series of tweets on June the 6th this year, you wrote, and I quote, my role as opposition leader is to listen to the plight of Kenyans and highlight issues affecting them. Opposition isn't only about demonstrations, but also about proposing policies that will take the nation forward. You go on to say that we should, however, not go to sleep because of the handshake and tolerate wrongdoings. Do you believe Raila Odinga has gone to sleep after the handshake and is now being quiet on national issues?
I will talk about myself. I said that statement, and I meant it, that we as a nation, a handshake or no handshake, a truce between two political leaders or not, we should not lose sight of the issues that affect this country. And that is why I continue to articulate them, some of which...
He's your coalition partner. You said Nas is still alive. You're probably the only one talking about the problems.
That is my right. Okay.
True.
He has his own style. And if he chooses to speak about certain issues, he'll do so in his own time. But as for me, I want to keep focused and to keep my eyes on the ball.
But if you were to be frank, this is what you have also said in the same vein. In an interview, quote, there has been a notion here that opposition must be defined by some form of violence, you said. Opposition must reflect a certain degree of impunity. We owe it to Kenyans to tell them that that is not what an opposition is. And if I would skip on down, you say, if I'm preparing myself to be an alternative government, why should I scare investors by destroying property, by smashing windows? For all that you're saying that Raila has his own time and he will speak, and you have taken issue with his style, if I may conclude, because he was the opposition leader then, and you're clearly saying there's a problem with that style.
I am saying that I have not been happy, and I don't subscribe to a violent approach. We are Amani National Congress.
Amani being the key word.
All right? Amani is the key word. Now, we want to help Kenyans because for too long we have stereotyped opposition in this country. And please, for heaven's sake, let us not look at it as if you are blaming Raila Odinga or something. I'm talking about opposition. Opposition is about an institution. It's about people coalescing together.
Which he led.
It is not necessarily about that individual. All right? So the point I'm trying to put across here is that let the electorate move away from the belief, whether rightly or wrongly, but the belief that opposition must be violent. And I keep on giving the example of the UK. You do not see Jeremy Corbyn rolling in the streets of London, yet he's the leader of the opposition.
Let me put it this way then. When you look back at 2013 or 2017, do you think perhaps because Raila Odinga was the opposition leader at that time, and the opposition is equally about its leadership will determine the style, do you think he should have said something about the violence that we saw then? Call on NASA supporters
remember,
in 2017 to keep the peace?
It's important for you to appreciate that we formed NASA. I was the lead person in propagating NASA. And Raila was our candidate.
Right.
All right?
True.
So we were together in a coalition, and that coalition is still alive, though not as active as a coalition. All right. At the same time, I would want to remind Kenyans that in 2007, 2008, I also supported Raila in the ODM then, and he was the party candidate and the presidential candidate. So the point I'm trying to put across here is that when we express a different view, you know, it's time that people broadened, in my view, their approach and their perception of Kenyan politics. For how long do you want us to see politics in the eyes of Musalia alone?
It's time.
We must
and
open
I suppose
up.
Conversely, what you're saying is, for how long do you want to see politics in the eyes of Raila alone?
Or Kenyatta.
Or Kenyatta.
Or Ruto.
Fair point. Fair point. Perhaps what I'm trying to get at, and you've rightly said that you are the if you like, the founder of NASA.
NASA, yes.
Whose onus was it to stand up and speak against this kind of what you have called, quote, a certain degree of impunity, which we saw on the streets during those contentious periods? Whose onus was it to talk about, let's not scare investors, let's not destroy property?
I think it's I speak about it, and it was on all the principles of NASA to speak to it. And please also let us not mistake the right to demonstrate and the right to picket as being violent. There are two issues here. You can have peaceful demonstrations.
Right.
All right? But you don't have to be violent.
True.
Now, it is the violence, you know, the irresponsible acts of violence that sometimes engage during these occasions that are dangerous for the country, that scare away investors. Just as much as corruption can scare away investors, unruliness can also scare away investors. And
that's true, but I would appreciate a concrete answer on this. And you're quite right to say that people have a right to picket. It's a constitutional right to do so. It is just the violence that we are questioning. But did Musalia Mudavadi come out either in the period when the election was disputed, when we had, was it Mandamano, was it Mondays or Fridays, and all manner of, beyond the actual picketing, there would be all manner of violence coming out? Why at that point did you not
Anne, where were you?
Speak out against that
where
particular violence in the newsroom?
Please go back to all the newsrooms. Follow my statements. Follow our public rally statements. We always advocated for peaceful elections. We always advocated for non-violent approach. We did. Please go back to your clips.
I'll leave it to the public to make the judgment on that. Let's move on to the handshake and BBI. Do you think the handshake is or was, as some observers have now framed it, a betrayal of NASA supporters who shed blood for the cause in 2017?
The handshake was a good gesture, but the manner in which the handshake came was a surprise. Okay? And in the process of the surprise, it left some people wondering what had really gone, what was underpinning the handshake. So to some extent, it did disappoint some sections of the NASA constituency. I cannot run away from that. But in terms of what did it achieve? Yes, it did achieve a measure of tranquility, giving the Kenyan people an opportunity maybe to take a step back and reflect on the current political situation, economic situation, security situation, and see what is the way forward.
It was, you said, surprising and possibly disappointing for some. Was it surprising to you? It's reported that just 2 days prior to the handshake, you held a meeting with Raila at the Karen Club, and he let on nothing about it. Was that what you have also taken exception to in some quarters, saying, you know, a breach of trust?
I think the best I can say is that I did express my concerns openly. In fact, after the handshake, I did issue a statement in Mombasa saying that it has happened and we were not privy to it because we were receiving so many questions of people wanting answers, and we had no answer to that particular event. That is the reality of it. We subsequently met at Stony Athi in
Right.
Athi River,
Right.
where Raila tried to bring some light as to what had transpired prior and leading to that handshake.
So this was a matter between two individuals. I mean, since then, has any confidence been built from where you stand that it is more than about just the two?
I think we have given them the benefit of doubt over time, and we have said that Kenya must move on. All right? We need to move on, and this is why I have been tackling issues and not dwelling too much on the handshake. By the way, I sometimes even get amused with the Kenyans because Kenyans are sometimes, you wonder what is government policy today and what is the handshake. Because people are talking,
Is it one and the same?
They're talking and explaining everything as if that's I think
Has the handshake become government policy? Is that what you're saying?
I think they need to shed some light, and this is why I kept on saying over the period that let people move on. Let us go beyond the handshake. We cannot continue explaining the handshake.
Who's speaking out of turn in that?
I am this one I attribute to myself when I say that let us move forward. But I think
when you're talking about handshake and government policy.
I think there's the political scene is full of so many comments of people just throwing in the word the handshake without even
as a justification
for a comment they want to make. They just say I'm throwing in the handshake. And sometimes you wonder what did they really want to say.
Why are you being cautious tonight? Why don't you just call out whoever you're calling out?
The politicians.
Like who?
At the center of all this. The politicians. Aren't you reading every other day? Because of the handshake, this is it. We are supporting the handshake, this is it. Because of this is it. Let people talk about government policy. It is 2 years. It's more than a year since the handshake. I think let we Kenyans address the issues directly, agriculture, public debt, and so forth.
So
let's just move on.
Tanga Jubilee politicians.
Yeah, they've spent too much time on that.
All right. You talked about the disappointment that the handshake may have brought, and let's focus on that a little bit. In the wake of that disappointment, has NASA followed up and fulfilled the promises that it made it to its supporters regarding prosecutions of those who were victims of police brutality, for instance?
Clearly, that is not within our realm. We have raised the issues about it, but it's not within our realm because any prosecution aspect will rest with the government of the day. So the opposition cannot be the prosecutor here. But you can take the government to court. But we have raised issues about the failure to address some of the violence, whether it was, for instance, Baby Pendo in Kisumu, and some of the others who lost their lives here in Nairobi. And these matters are being investigated by the authorities.
But I put it to you, Honorable Musalia, with due respect, when you say that it is not the place for the opposition to prosecute, we have seen you on other matters, quite frankly, going out and suing government where you disagreed. And so, is it not the case that you have forgotten your supporters after the handshake? We have not forgotten the supporters, at least not all of us. All I can say is this. We went to court when it was the petition. The election petition. There we have gone to court, all right? But on these other matters, some of these matters are already pending in court. And equally, some of them have been taken up by the Kenya Human Rights Commission. Not all of you have forgotten is what you said.
Yes.
So, and you not being one who has forgotten. So who has? Who has in the NASA arrangement?
I think that would be a very, very unfair question.
Why, sir? These are your words. Not
yes,
all
I
of
have
us
said
have forgotten.
Not all of us have forgotten, because you say some have forgotten. You want me to name somebody and say he has forgotten?
I didn't say that. I just asked, has NASA forgotten?
No, and I told you, and I said not all of us.
So
that's
some of us?
That's a fair chance. That's a fair question.
So some of us?
Some may have.
Some may have.
Yes.
Okay, I'll leave it there. NASA also set up the NASA Angel Fund. It was, I believe, an Airtel Money pay bill number to help fundraising for the victims here in Kenya and abroad. How much was raised in total?
No, I don't have the figure on that, because there was a separate team that was doing the management of any funds that were raised through the pay bill.
And you don't know?
No, I have no. I'll be very honest on that one. I do not have the figures. There was a different team. There was a secretariat that was separate handling that kind of matter.
But you are, again, the man who brought NASA together. I imagine it would have been of interest to you to know how much you raised, because you have not forgotten your supporters. But generally, I can tell you that not much money was raised by those pay bills. Not much money was raised.
Yeah,
what does that say?
I do not know the figure, but it was not, in my view, the kind of figure that would be very significant.
But if, I beg your pardon, but if you do not know the figure specifically, then how can you conclude that it was not substantial?
No, because we have some general idea that the NASA Secretariat, in the process of giving these reports, did not give very favorable reports at that time.
Which is the last report that you remember?
It's quite a while. It's quite a while.
And you have no idea.
Yeah.
And yet you are talking about accountability to the nation, even accountability on public monies. This was public money raised for a public cause. You saying that you're the one who has, at least you could speak for yourself, you have not forgotten your supporters. This money was meant to help families of NASA supporters who are in dire need after being brutalized by police. And now you tell the country it was months ago, you don't remember, and not substantial.
Well, there's some fair amount there that I'll grant that to you, that we could have done better. We have not done very well on that score, but at the same time, let me just say that there was a team that was handling that component directly.
Sounds to me like you want nothing to do with this pay bill. Are you able, do you know whether this money has been used, whether any of it has been disbursed, perhaps?
I think I've told you as much as I can tell you, because anything beyond that will be speculation. But I've told you that on this particular issue, I know no more than what I've told you.
All right. We are waiting to see what the Building Bridges team will come out with. There are those who have said that there is a predetermined political outcome. Do you believe in that? Is that an unfair assumption?
I think I can only say that let's put the BBI debate in the right context. Because people are making propositions about the Constitution. I think the only one that has been clear on what they would want to propose is the Punguza Mizigo document.
Right.
The BBI was collecting its views. They have retreated and said that they're going to make a report.
Right.
All right? Now, I can only say let's wait for the report.
You curiously did not also present before BBI, yet you have previously acknowledged that even in the NASA coalition agreement that there were clauses that would require some kind of constitutional relook. Why did you not present before BBI?
You see,
ANC, I beg your pardon.
I mean, ANC did not present there.
Right.
We had some initial misgivings about the process and how it started. But we have said, let us give them the benefit of doubt. Because the assumption and what they have expressed publicly is that they will present a report that will then be subjected to public debate. Now, in the context of that, then a bill can subsequently be drafted. So at this point in time, I can only say that let us give them the opportunity to present the report.
Right.
Let the report be digested. And if the report and the subsequent bill makes sense, so be it.
Okay. You have said that you have done your part supporting, should I say, every president or candidate since President Daniel Arap Moi. In one way or another, you have played a role, and the people of Western as well have, and therefore that there is no further debt. There's no debt to be paid. I think that's how you put it. What do you believe will give you an edge politically so that you can meet the threshold to become president?
I think all I can present to the people of Kenya is my experience. I can present to the people of Kenya my strong background where I want this economy to run well, respect for the rule of law, and the need to secure this country as a peaceful and secure nation where all Kenyans will be respected.
Finally, do you think it's unfair when your critics describe you sometimes with rather harsh terms, colorless, boring, unable to excite the country, passionless? What do you think of terms like that?
I think let me put it this way. They do not, those are not criteria that can form the basis. Okay? I think they should look at the content. And this is exactly what I've been trying to tell Kenyans all the time. Do you want somebody to be seen?
To excite you?
To excite you, and then you say you have made the decision? Look at some of the things we're experiencing, whether in constituencies or whether in various counties. People rushed, made emotional decisions, and right now,
What?
they are busy regretting.
So you're the middle.
So the point is this: I'm not in the middle. It's my style. All right.
Seems like President Kibaki's style. Some, I think, have even pointed that picture. Say, Musalia walks like Kibaki, sounds like Kibaki, might end up getting Kibaki's fortunes.
I don't know. I think if you go into the history of this country, if we start with Moi, there were those who thought they were the specialists and the ones who would make all the noise. But there was Moi, and he walked in. They called him a passing cloud, and he was there for 24 years. Right? We know what they called Kibaki.
Right.
All right.
Right.
They called Kibaki General somebody.
Yes.
Basically trying to say that he's there.
Cat.
And he has left an excellent legacy.
So they can call you what they want.
They can call me what they want, but at
they
the end of the day,
might call you president.
At the end of the day, it is that voter, and I will never run away and shy away from telling the ordinary voter in Kenya, please, all that glitters is not gold.
Musalia Mudavadi is in the ring tonight. Maybe a little bit of shadow boxing. We'll see if he'll throw real punches after the break. Stay with us.